Navigate Autism. I'm your host, Jane Lynn Britton. Today's show is all about empowering parents with tools and knowledge to help themselves as well as to help their children. First, we're going to have the exciting conclusion of Restore for Life. And Susan Burdick, the founder of Restore for Life, explains to us in scientific and medical terms why our guest Heidi Rome went from extreme pain, physical therapy, heavy medicine, and almost not being able to walk to being 95% better after only 2 sessions with Susan. And then Heidi Rome, who's also an autism mom's coach and the mother of a 13-year-old son with autism. She's going to answer another question from Princeton TV's station manager, Sharyn Murray. Sharyn asks a question about behavior. Now, that's something that most of us parents of children with autism do struggle with. But first, I want to share with you a very simple technique that I've learned that helps deepen the connection with me and my son, but also supports his social skills. So stay tuned. Today in the home, I'm in my kitchen because I spend a lot of time here. And so I wanted to share with you one way that I'm able to connect with William in a place where I'm often found. So I'm in the kitchen, whether it's cleaning up or cooking meals. And when William comes in and wants to interact with me, I want to do it. That's my goal for him, not only to deepen the connection with me, but to help him with the social skills. So if I'm not in the middle of something like at the stove that needs my immediate attention, I take a step away and I say, absolutely, let's do something together. But in order to make that happen, I already have some tools here in the kitchen. William loves crafts, so I use one of his motivations. I keep paper and crayons right here on the kitchen counter. Now you can do this in your child's bedroom, in the den, wherever you tend to be most. I'm here, so it's on the counter. So when he comes over, we spread paper around and we start drawing. I might draw whatever I'm inspired to draw that day. Maybe he's learning on a subject at school and I'll draw a picture around that to help deepen that learning. But we're able to interact, to share, take turns, and just enjoy being together, whether it's for 5 minutes or longer, but I'm here and I'm ready because I have these tools to do it. Now, another reason I like having crayons, and sometimes I have markers, is because you can write. And William doesn't speak a lot, so I'm trying to help him through other forms of communication. If he comes in and he's asking for something, I'm often not clear what it is, so I'll say, let's write it here. Take a crayon, here's a piece of paper, and then I help him write in the way that we do together. So that helps him communicate with me as well as strengthens his skill in that writing. So that is why I choose to have the crayons and the paper rather than other craft things here in the kitchen. Welcome back. We're here with Susan Burdick, who developed a transformational, really a life-changing therapy called Restore. But why don't we turn to Heidi now, because you also have your own experience, because Susan has worked on you. So I would love a personal, like what you felt and what response you had.
Yes, actually, my feeling was that before I invited, wanted Susan to work on Ethan, I wanted to experience it myself first. And so I had a session with Susan, and I had been experiencing very difficult knee pain for a long time, and did all kinds of physical therapy, was on pain medication, physical therapy. It was really, really tough, and nothing was really helping. So I went to see Susan, and as she described, I lay on the table and just felt myself relax. And she started the whatever magic she's working, she started touching me, and it was very light, very soothing. And I did not, in my case, I did not fall asleep, but I entered into a different zone. So I was awake, but not fully awake. It was, but I wasn't asleep. It was this very wonderful, beautiful place in between. So I knew what was happening, but I wasn't limited in my body. And I just felt myself completely relaxed. Every so often, tears would come to my eyes and just odd feelings and memories would come up, and then it would pass, and I just lay there. I don't even know. I lost sense of time, Susan. It felt like 2 minutes versus 3 eternities had gone by, and I got up and I was calm, but I thought, oh, my knee still hurts. Like that was my thought. It was like this magical, like, oh, I was like, oh, gee, it still hurts, but it's okay. I'm so relaxed. It's fine. Well, I think it was 2 or 3 days later, I woke up and I realized that the pain was 80% better. And we're talking severe pain, limping pain.
Oh, gosh.
And I thought, oh, my goodness. And did I just sleep through the night without taking, a pain pill? Or it was unbelievable, the dramatic impact of it. And then I had a second session, and I think the pain went to 95% gone. So there's still a remnant. Susan, we have to talk. Another session coming up for me, for sure. But huge improvement. Huge. I'm thinking of stopping, the physical therapy now. I walk in, they say, how are you? And they're taking the credit, physical therapy. And I was like, oh, I had no pain for the last 3 days, or whatever it was. So,
right.
Yeah.
That is wonderful. Well, I'm so glad for you.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
And your son, as I am for myself. Susan, do you have any further comments to share that you've heard? I know we've talked to you about our experiences, but maybe you can explain some of the things that we experienced.
Actually, let's say nerve ending, you have a nerve ending and it's completely cased in a 3-dimensional covering of fascia and connective tissue. So you'll go to a doctor and they really don't, they can do all their work, but they can't get to the cellular level to release that. So the pain that you have, it might be just a few nerve endings that are totally impinged. And the exciting thing is when you do restore, every single thing that has ever happened into your body ever is there. Whether it's physical, mental, or emotional, your body really does hold all the information. So as we're working on the physical, mental, and emotional level. And that's why Heidi was getting visions and things, because she was releasing that trauma that was going through her body at that time. So sometimes that happens when the cellular memory is released, is you will get a quick flash of something. And at the time, it may not seem like, well, why did I think of that? It wasn't that important. But yet, at that period of time when it happened, it was. So it's so not only is it working on all levels, but it's really exciting because it happens so quickly. So when your entire body has released all of these impingements all over the place, now your entire body is communicating with itself. And that goes right to the cellular level. So every single cell is communicating now. Your entire neurological system is communicating. And the more sessions you do, the better function you get, because more and more impingements open. So I'm basically making your body the way it was when you were born. You're getting rid of all the debris, all the trauma, all the, every time you fell, whether any birth defect, we can improve that because we are opening up and getting everything else to function normally and better. Everybody is different. Everybody responds differently to the sessions. I could work with 25 autistic children and I'll get 25 different results. But in every single case, they improve. One way or the other, either, and it's all depends on the child, what they're experiencing, but every single person will see an improvement on some level. That's the thrilling part.
It is completely thrilling. You are absolutely right. And when we come back, we are going to tell you, Susan is going to tell us how you can work with her even though she's in New Hampshire. So stay tuned.
Here's another quick tip that you can do to help boost social activities in your home with your child. I take a basket, something simple that I can put some of the things William loves. Now sometimes he needs his headphones, I usually have them in here. He takes horseback riding, he loves the brushes because he'll sometimes brush his hands and just get that sensory feeling going. I'll put sometimes the crayons in here or other activities, but I'm often in the kitchen, so I have this in the kitchen. And when he comes in and wants to do something, if we're not drawing, I'll say, grab the basket and let's do something together. Now it keeps it a little cleaner because it's in one place and it's something that he can pick up. So we may walk away, go to his bedroom so he can pick it up and take it with him. Just a quick tip, again, to support your social interaction with your child.
Welcome back. We're here with Susan Burdick, who developed a transformational, really a life-changing therapy called Restore. And we are just so excited that she's here talking about it, but I'm going to ask her, how can families who don't live in New Jersey and don't live close enough, and New Hampshire, we live in New Jersey and we still make the trip because it's that important. I do know families who have traveled halfway around the world for a therapy that might help their child. Not sure if that's what your answer is, but how can people work with you if they're not in New Hampshire?
Actually, there's a lot of different ways to work with me. I do have a lot of people travel and come in to me and do the workshops or have sessions, but I also travel. I've already booked for the month of April. I've booked, I'm going to be in LA, I'm going to be in San Diego, and I'm going to be in Chicago teaching my workshops. And while I'm there teaching, then I work on clients as well. I have some clients, I'll fly from the East Coast to the West Coast, and they hire me privately, and I come in and I work with their family, because it isn't only the child that's going through something, it's the entire family. So there's a lot of you can do this. I've gone to Rhode Island and worked with a family whose son was a quadriplegic. So it works on anything you have. So if you have sensory issues, if you have autism, whatever, a lot of people just don't have one thing. They're not just hyperactive. There's a list of things going on. And I like to work with all of that, and Restore will work with all of that. So it's complete body transformation on all levels, physical, mental, and emotional. And you can reach me. Some people do it by phone. They'll call me and ask me all sorts of questions. But I will find you, or you will find me, because it is my mission to support you and your family.
That is so wonderful. And I know that if you fly to people, you said you do individual workshops or healing, that maybe a group of people could get together, right, in a location, and you could come in and teach them. Right? The 2-day, it's a 2-day workshop, correct?
It's a 2-day intensive, 17 hours, and I teach them. I teach Restore 1 from 8:30 to 2:30, and then I start Restore 2 from 2:30 to 5:30. And then usually on a Sunday, the following day, I teach from 8:30 to 4:30. And I break it up because some people need it broken up because they need to process the information, and then they pick me up next time I'm in town or whatever, or they come to me for the second half. But usually I work really well with the group, and I cover all the bases of all different learning skills. So I'll teach Restore 1 and 2 together. But yeah, it's intensive. It's a lot. But my work is all registered copyright with the U.S. Copyright Office, and I give you that to take home. And it's your notes. And it's everything you really need to know. But this is so important to my heart, from my heart. This is so important for people to actually take control of their lives again. In their families, and support them. And so we will connect one way or the other. That I guarantee.
I have a question for you, Susan, because you were a massage therapist. You have studied so much about the body and the anatomy. And I know a lot because of a lot of the stuff I've done with my son, but I'm very left brain. Can I learn this?
Oh, absolutely. I studied natural health. I moved south and studied all sorts of forms of natural health after, I work under a massage license still, but that gives me the right to touch people all over the United States, to do this therapy. But when I designed these workshops, I said, I have to make it so every single person can completely understand how to do this. And it's very, very easy. I teach new moms, 20 years old, how to take care of their kids, and they've had no training or deep education. They may have just graduated from high school, and anyone can learn how to do this. You don't have to have the anatomy and physiology background I do, or all about natural health. I needed that so I could create it, but I don't. It's not mandatory that you have that, because you will do the same thing I do, because I make sure that you understand before you leave.
Well, that's good to know, because I'm sure a lot of parents may be asking, can I really do this, right? I don't have that sense of understanding the body, etc. So we thank you for making it so easy for all of us to learn.
Well, I did the work, and I did the work so that you don't have to. You just have to have fun with it and enjoy it.
Oh, that's great. And I really can't wait to maybe we'll get Heidi to come, we'll come visit you and get trained really
Absolutely,
soon.
absolutely. And Jalen, I want to make another point that I think we focused a lot on what we've seen behaviorally and even emotionally with our kids, but one of the pieces that I am starting to work with Susan on addressing with Ethan is actually a physical issue. Ethan has been diagnosed with scoliosis, and we're going to see if in fact Restore can help, in addition to the medical, with wearing the back brace and exercise, can the Restore add another element to help the spine regain its natural balance and curvature and all that. So we're hoping that even physically we'll see impact.
Great. Well, I'm sure you will, because so far it seems like this really does help everything.
Right.
So good luck with that.
Thank you.
Yes. Susan, we could talk for hours. I wish we had hours to just pick your brain, and next time maybe we can get you here with us personally. But thank you so much for joining and for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you for sharing your gift with the world, and for really being so passionate about helping our kids with autism. It really makes me cry, and I have chills. So thank you so much.
I often cry when I'm teaching or I'm working with children. That's just a norm. When my little guy on my website said "mommy" for the first time at 3 years old on Mother's Day, every time I can say it now without crying, but every time I would say that, I would cry. Or I see success. I see someone doing something special that they've never done before. I cry right along with the families. So my heart and your hearts are all together in this. I think we're just one big group of people that need to support each other. We're a village. We take care of each other. So it's my pleasure.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Heidi, thank you as well for coming
pleasure.
back.
My pleasure, always.
Yes, and why don't you tell us just briefly about your opening on the 2nd, so people may want to come and support you and learn.
Thank you. Yes, I'm launching Mom Spectrum Oasis to help mothers of children with autism on Tuesday evening, April 2nd, Autism Awareness Day. Yep. And we help moms who tend to be isolated and in a lot of pain and overwhelmed, and help them recognize the sources of their pain and what's going on and what they need to learn and do, and stay grounded and remembering their own love and power, so that they can create the bright future for their autistic child that is all they care about and that they can achieve. So
it's so needed, and so wonderful that you are giving of yourself and your experience to help others. Because like you said, Susan, we're all a family, right? Helping each other. And
absolutely. This is really, truly from my heart to want to do this. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you for joining us. I know
pleasure.
You're very busy right now getting ready for your launch.
Worth coming here to see you, Jane Lynn, and to see Susan. Thank you.
Thank you. Today on Ask Jane Lynn, I have Sharyn Murray, who is the station manager for Princeton TV, joining me, as well as Heidi Rome, one of my regulars here on Navigate Autism. Heidi is an autism mom's coach. Sharyn has experience with autism. She's also been the director for me many times in filming my show and has learned a lot, knows a lot about autism, but has questions. So I thought it'd be perfect to bring us all together. So Sharyn, what is one of the questions that you have that Heidi would love to answer for you with?
How do you handle behavioral issues?
Wow. I think that's a great one because we all struggle with that. Even the calmest children sometimes, there's a trigger, right? You never know what it's going to be and where it's going to come from. So Autism Moms Coach, how would you handle how would you coach a mom to handle the behavioral issues?
Well, certainly number one is anticipation, if possible. You start to know what triggers these things and you be prepared, whether bring extra food or something in case the child is hungry, because the important piece of a behavioral issue is that it is a communication. It is a cry for help. It is a signal that the child is out of balance and out of regulation, and some need needs to be addressed. So that's number one, that it's not done with malice or bad intention, that this is a signal of a child to his mother, I need help right now. So the first step, though, and this would apply to any outburst or any behavior at all, number one is take a breath. Be calm. And when you take a breath, even physiologically, you're telling the brain, you're okay, you're safe, no tiger is going to leap at you right now. And what that does is when you stay calm, you tell the body that it's safe, and what that does is in the brain, it's very important, it calms the amygdala. The amygdala is at the base of the brain, and it's where fear lives, and it's your survival mechanism, and that's where you're in fight, flight, or freeze. That is probably what's going on with your child who's having a behavior, is that their amygdala is triggered. They are in a fear-based situation in the brain, and they're reacting in that way, and they're in a survival mode. And so you need to stay calm and don't join him in the amygdala hijack.
Which is hard to do.
Very hard to do.
It's a
completely get it.
thing, yeah.
Yes, but just remember, though, one thing that might help is remember that she needs you to stay calm right now to help him. If you remember that, Mom, that will help you stay calmer, because when you stay calmer and you take a deep breath, that then lets your amygdala begin to relax a little bit of its grip and start to let the blood flow. Thank you. See, I guess I'm an amygdala right now. It lets the blood flow to the brain and activate the other parts of the brain that are where you create solutions and possibilities that are shut down when you're trapped. So when you stay calm, you will actually begin to see more solutions and ideas will come to you. But probably the best thing is to wait it out, because if your child is in an amygdala hijack, there's nothing to do. They can't hear you. Don't say even soothing words. Don't hear it. They don't hear it. They're not processing it. And in fact, it even might be an irritant. So you stay calm, you breathe, keep them safe, have a pillow if you need to protect his head, whatever. And just know this will pass, but you need to stay calm. So that's number one with a behavior. The other thing with a behavior is that recognize that our kids are so sensitive emotionally that very often they are picking up our feelings. If you're upset, stressed, anxious, they know
They
it.
feel. Sometimes William knows something's wrong with me before I do.
Exactly.
I see the change in him, and then I have to tell myself what's going on. It's really interesting how sensitive they are.
100%. I actually have I coined a term for that. I call it the spiritual umbilical cord, because
it is.
It's in effect. It's never cut, And it's in effect, even if you yourself have not given birth physically to a child, but this is your child emotionally, spiritually, that cord is there forever. And that child knows how you feel. So very often, the child is reacting because mom is stressed. And one of the phenomena that happens with the myth of the good mother is a very subtle, insidious thing that happens, which is we make mom's happiness the child's burden. I'm only happy if he's happy. Now, he knows that. That's a huge responsibility for a kid. You mean if I act out and I have a bad day, mommy's upset and sad, that's huge. You're adding guilt, you're adding all kinds of stuff onto this kid who's already having a hard time processing life because he doesn't want his mom to be upset, and he knows I'm upset, so she's upset. That just adds fuel to the fire. If he knows if he has a hard day, mom doesn't love it, but mom is calm, mom is there, mom's going to protect him, mom's going to wait it out, mom's going to get him what he needs, but she's okay. You're giving a gift to that kid. You're giving him space to calm down because he doesn't have to take care of you. He can focus on calming himself down without calming you down.
What you have just explained makes so much sense, right? And
so wise.
But it's not easy. So
No.
it's great that you have now opened Mom's Spectrum Oasis because you are helping moms, giving them the tools that you're just talking about, right? Helping them get to the
Absolutely.
point where they can be calm in those situations and give that gift to their child.
Absolutely. It is both awareness of knowing what's going on, to have compassion for yourself, of how you're responding to things, and to just be aware of that so you can make different choices. And it's also to educate about reality and what is, and what is an IEP, for the newbies,
Right.
who are entering this journey and are really scared and have bought into the tragedy narrative because
Right.
that's what's presented to them, and to just say to them, we gotcha, to create a community of moms who have already been on the path and can hold your hand and say, we gotcha. You're wiser than you think, you're more powerful than you think, get in touch with that. And for the informational part and the systems and all that stuff, we'll show you that.
Right.
We gotcha. So you're covering it from both the head and the heart.
Love that. Do you feel like that answered
Yeah,
your question?
definitely.
Great. Heidi, thank you so much for this really great
my
feedback and
pleasure.
information, and Sharyn for bringing these questions because
Oh, my pleasure.
it's nice to get you involved and get your perspective too, since we work so closely together. And there's always things we can talk about and share. So thank you.
My pleasure for being here. Thank you for having me.
Maybe we'll see you again. I'm sure we
I
will.
would love that. I'd love to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. This has been so much fun for us, and I hope it's been fun for you as well. And I look forward to seeing you next time on Navigate Autism with Jane Lynn.